Sun, big yellow is very bright.
Sun, good morning.
Good morning from Nitmiluk
Yeah.
Gorge.
Katherine Gorge.
Or aka Katherine Gorge.
Yeah. We are tripping over rocks in classic me style.
Yeah, we got to Katherine yesterday, had a little bit of lunch, did a little bit of shopping, checked out the visitor centre, and then decided to stay out here and do, what are we doing, a boat tour?
Yeah, the Knit Dreaming boat tour. So we go through, there's a couple of gorges that make up Katherine Gorge apparently. We go through one of them on the boat and then we walk to the second one. It's only like a 400-metre walk or something. Yeah. And then you get an Indigenous guide that tells you about the dreaming of the area and all that kind of stuff.
Creation time or whatever.
Yeah, so it should be interesting.
It is currently 8 o'clock in the morning and we are like packed up, ready to go. It's been an effort.
Yeah, I don't do mornings.
Neither does your daughter.
No, she was really cranky this morning.
We haven't even gotten like any breakfast into her.
No. She takes after me. She doesn't like to be told what to do first thing in the morning or be woken up.
I don't know if you can see, but there's a little wallaby on the grass. Blake can definitely see it. Hello, little buddy. Nope. And here we got some speakers and some artwork.
Why do you make me leave 45 minutes before we have to be down at the boat?
We still have like a 400-metre walk. This is, do you know how to pronounce these? Do you want to read?
Oh, there we go. Darwin.
Darwin. This is Darwin country. They've been caring for the country since Barwa dreaming.
So every kind of tribe or mob has different words for the same thing?
Yeah, they all have different languages.
Yeah, different dialects.
They've been saying it right.
Okay, we're just about to go past these two opposing cliff faces. They mark the beginning of our gorge system and the beginning of the Arnhem Plateau. Now the Arnhem Plateau was basically a huge big block of sandstone, about 300 kilometres along one edge, 150 along the other. It gets up to about 2 kilometres thick in some places. Now the whole of Kakadu sits on top of this block of sandstone, but today we're going to be going through the middle of it, through fractures in it. Now it's the Katherine River that we're going up, totally main-fed from this point. The main water catchment area is the southeastern corner of Arnhem Land. The river then flows down through our gorge system, that's about 16 kilometres. You've got another 30 kilometres down to the township of Katherine, about another 80 kilometres, and it joins up with the Daly River. And the Daly River comes out of a little place called Anson Bay on the Timor Sea, about 150 kilometres southwest of Darwin. Now during the wet season the river's sitting about 6 metres above where we are now, and that's one continuous river system. But in the dry season the river level drops and it exposes these series of natural rock barriers that divide the system up into 13 separate gorges. Now we're going to see 2 of those today, but they are by far the 2 biggest ones, so we'll see about a quarter of the system. And under the heading of visitor safety is crocodile management. So we get 2 kinds of crocodile in the park here. We get the freshwater or River Johnson crocodiles, of which there's quite a few. There's an estimated 250 freshwater crocodiles in the first 2 gorges alone. And then there's the saltwater or estuarine crocodile, which is more like the occasional visitor. due to pressure on territory downstream, during the wet season they'll come up, they'll have a look around, but they'll see that the place is too rocky, the river's flowing too fast. A lot of places in the wet season the banks are too sheer, so they'll turn around and leave at their own accord. But if it's really late in the season and the river's dropping quickly, you get these natural rock barriers that will trap them in here. So at the end of wet season, Parks and Wildlife will do an intensive crocodile survey. What that involves is they'll come out early morning in a helicopter doing low-level flights. They'll come out at night time. They've got a boat with a big spotlight on it. They're looking for eye shine. They put out these what they call crocodile indicators. You'll notice one in a few minutes that we're going to go past just up here. Little red buoy in the water. Now saltwater crocodiles are very, very curious. They'll come up to a red buoy like that. They won't be able to help themselves. They'll take a big bite of it. It's about that point they realise styrofoam doesn't taste very good, and they'll spit it out. But they would have left tooth marks on the buoy, and giving away that they're here. Now they've caught 12 crocodiles over the last 10 years. They caught 2 this year back in February, just a whisker short of 4 metres. Those crocodiles get trapped and released into a crocodile farm to be used as breeding stock. So once Parks and Wildlife are convinced there are no crocodiles at all in the first gorge here, then we can open up the second gorge for canoeing and for swimming. Now, as I was saying, during the wet season the river sits about 6 metres usually above where we are. So it goes clean over the top of this rock in front of us. We actually drive the boats up to the first gorge. So I'm going to be parking the boat up here on the left, and we've got a little bit of a walk. As I said, it's about 500 metres. It's a good footpath with hand railings, a few stairs.
If you can hear me over the wind. Yeah. 1 out of 10 would not recommend.
With the Delta system, 1650 million years ago. So that predates any vertebrate life on Earth, so there's no fossils. What I find interesting is Katherine, right next door, but built on limestone country, a lot younger, fossils everywhere there. But now this is a truly ancient landscape. So 1650 million years ago, river delta system, you got layer upon layer of sand. Fine heat pressure and the individual particles of sand start fusing together to make this particularly hard form of sandstone called comprising formation. Now if we roll the clock on to about 25 million years ago, there was a time of big earthquakes and upheaval that lifted the block of sandstone up out of the ground and caused it to fracture in a crisscross pattern. So to look at the gorge from above, if you imagine for a moment you're eating a mango, you slice off the cheek, do a crisscross pattern with a knife in the back, put your thumbs against the skin, turn it inside out. That's what the gorge looks like from above, or like a huge big slab of chocolate. So to show you what I mean, if you look to the left of us, we've got this cliff face. I'll just turn the boat back around. A big crack going up the cliff face, or split. That's what we call a partial fracture. If you look down to the right down the end there, you can see a gully full of trees. That's what we call a subgorge. That's the same fracture line running through. Now the crest to the cross, if you look ahead of us, we've got another sub-gorge. That's the same fracture line running the other way. So you get this crisscross pattern of fracture lines, and the river's just taking the line of the deepest fracture. Now the natural colour for the sandstone is the creamy beige colour, but sandstone's porous, so during the wet season it absorbs moisture, and during the dry season that gets drawn out again, bringing with it traces of iron ore that then oxidises on the surface and gives you the orange colour. The time of creation, the time of dreaming, or as they call it, the time of birth. When this was all flat, dry country, there came ashore a snake-like character with horns called the rainbow serpent, or Belong. And everywhere that Belong travelled over the flat, dry landscape, he pushed up hills, created valleys, and generally shaped the landscape. And it's said that when he came through here, he carved out the gorge in his own image. And that's why Nitmiluk Tours, you might see the logo on my shirt, and we've got a little poster at the back here, shows the rainbow serpent lying roughly in the shape of the gorge. Now those horizontal lines you can see down the canyon there, that's said to be scraped out by Belong's horns as he came through. Now after he'd done this, he went down south and shaped more landscapes and had big adventures, but when he was finished, he decided he needs somewhere to rest, so he came back here, dug a hole in this corner, and the Jawan people believe that Belong is resting underneath us still to this day. So that makes this place pretty special for the Jawan people. They won't touch or drink the water here, they won't fish or hunt here. Pregnant women and new initiates won't touch or drink the water anywhere on the Katherine River, all out of a fear of disturbing Belong, because all creation figures, if disturbed, can come back as destroyers in the form of monsoonal rains and earthquakes. Now, we do have Jawan tour guides. Their thinking is they're in the boat, they're not touching the water, and they won't touch or drink the water here. But the Jawan people appreciate we all have our own beliefs, so they're quite happy for a boatload of tourists to come through here, or the canoeists to come through here, or sometimes we actually see random people swimming in the corner. There's another smaller cave. Good place to talk about river heights. So in an average wet season like we had this last year, we get about 1,000 mil of rainfall during the length of the wet season, and you can see just a bit over halfway up that bottom cave, if you look on the rocks on each side, there's like a silt layer where the rocks look faded, and then all of a sudden there's a line where you can see the colour. Just about halfway up that little tree on the left, that's the height that the river got to this year, the high tide mark. But back in 1998 we had 1,000 mil of rainfall in 3 days square on our water catchment, thanks to Cyclone Les, and the river actually got up to about 1.5 meters above the little cave. There was an expert here that worked out that the amount of water coming through the canyon here would fill an empty Sydney harbour every 9 hours. That translated to about 2.5 metres of flood water in the township of Katherine, which was really quite serious. There was about 2,000 people had to be evacuated. When it was all done with, there was probably about 200 houses got condemned. As the floodwaters was receding, they got the people out from the Tyndall Air Force Base to help with the massive clean-up job. And according to the Katherine Times, 2 of those guys got chased out of Woolworths by a 4-metre crocodile. Whole new meaning to the fresh food people.
G'day Groovers.
Play. We're headed to Darwin.
We are. We just did the. We just stayed out at Nitmiluk Gorge. We did the Nitmiluk Gorge tour this morning.
Yeah, the Nit Dreaming tour.
Yeah, that one, sorry.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
It was,
beautiful.
yeah, absolutely gorgeous. First time I've done anything in the gorge itself. Yeah, we got to see a little freshie this morning.
Yeah, that was cool. 6 years living in North Queensland, I've never seen a crocodile in the wild.
Yeah.
Never. Even the ranger was like, really? No.
I suppose we'll talk about the Nitmiluk Gorge camping, where we were.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it while somebody else eats a raspberry muffin. It was okay, I guess. The online booking thing said it was almost completely booked out. We pulled up there and there was hardly anybody really. But even saying that there was hardly anybody, the sites are tiny. If you got a big van, they do have some bigger drive-through bays, but they weren't open to us because obviously they want to fill up from one end. And we couldn't even really put our awning out. We would have been on the van next to it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of money for a tiny sardine gravel pit with a closed pool.
We have a knack of leaving chooks in the car. I don't know.
Second hot chook.
So we like to buy a hot chook every now and then to make lunches and stuff. You throw it in a roll, you throw it in a wrap, you do whatever. I'm sure you all do it.
Yeah.
Really nice. The last 2 hot chooks we've bought, we've forgot to take them out of the car and put them in the fridge. So before we've even opened the packet, they've gone 24 hours in the car and, well, I'm not going to eat the chook.
No. If it was winter down south, it would probably be a different story. But it's hot up north, and I'm not going to eat chook that's been in the car for 12 hours.
24, yeah.
24 hours.
So the crabs are going to get...
Yeah.
I've got a lot of crab bait and only rough one crab pot.
Expensive crab bait at $11 a bag.
No, not when you're catching $50 mud crabs.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you need to catch me some mud crabs then.
That's another reason for being in Darwin for a few days.
Love mud crab.
Oh,
I'm so
I'll duck out in the mornings and throw a pot in, and then in the afternoon go pull her up again in a couple of different
So
spots.
looking forward
See
to
if we
seafood.
see if we can grab a couple of mud crabs.
Seafood is probably one of my favourite things to eat. I love it. And it was one of my favourite things about living in Townsville was that you can get such fresh reef fish and such fresh prawns and bugs
Yeah,
and like everything.
there's only so much like frozen fish you can eat before it's like, no, I want to go visit a fishmonger where you can see that they've been killed sort of within the last 24 hours and they're on ice, and that's, yeah.
And we used to get fish
Or go out and catch your own,
time.
but I'm not a fisherman by any means. I catch drunk when I go fishing. White stuff on my face is zinc. In case anybody asks, I get sunburn. I'm now in the Northern Territory and I was out on the boat all morning. I got zinc on my face. It's not like some sort of war paint or like I'm not breaking out. And that's the snack thing.
This gets filled every time we have to do a long stint in the car.
By 7 minutes. God, we ramble.